Matthew 13:14. Jesus is speaking about stuff out of place, something in a place where it don't belong. And what should be done when it is found. I'm going to speak on what he was talking about. Give you a good idea. Just say, and I've talked about the importance of making sure you in a house of worship rather than a den of thieves. So I'm going to speak on this one here for a minute. He says, when you see things standing in places that they ought not to be standing, they ain't supposed to be there. To get away from that place, especially he's talking to his children now, the ones about his will. He says, if you see that, to remember, but you get out of this place. Let me show you what he's talking about now. If you see something evil standing in a holy place, something unholy standing in a holy place, remember this. Give you a good example. The church is a place of God. It's a holy place. If you go into a place of God, man, that's supposed to be of God, and you see these two things, one of these two things or either of them, it is a clear sign that you're not in a house of God. You're in a den of thieves. The first thing, not the most, I'm going to say the second thing, then I'm going to go to the first. The second thing, if you go into a place that you call or that is called a church and you see an American flag in it, people, that is something in a place that it ought not to be. It is worldly in a holy place. It is worldly in a holy place. And think about this now. What the American flag represents, the nation it represents, the nation that you know this is, how this nation is, what this nation is doing, what it's about, and all of that. If that nation is into unholy, then that is what that flag represents. This nation which is unholy. You cannot, it is not allowed to have unholy things in holy places. Again, it comes back to the reason there had to be a way given that you could be clean, because you wasn't going to be accepted back to him if you was unclean. So Jesus, as it goes, were the means of a man becoming clean, that he would be able, God would receive him back. And he's a very picky God, man. He don't play with it. He's very picky, particular. For instance, when they had to give him a lamb's offering, the lamb couldn't have any blemish. He couldn't have any blemish. I mean, if man didn't see a little dot spot right beside a hair pour on that lamb, God seen it, and he rejected it because he wouldn't even accept it with a little spot of bad on it. Sin is bad. He's not going to accept that. It was cast down. The fire and brimstone was created for it. He ain't going to accept it. So don't buy into, I can be only what I believe and be a part of whatever I think is this. If it It's either is or is not. If it is not, it's not doing you any good. Even going there, people, it's doing you more harm than it is good. It actually brings one into the realm of disrespect. You know what I said, and you still don't do it. It's a difference if you didn't know, you never heard, and you didn't do it. I can accept that. But when I know you done heard it, you done heard me, and you still go against what I done told you to do, it gets into the point of disrespect. And if you're talking about God, you know you ain't supposed to by no means have nothing, do anything of any disrespect to him. So you can't just go along with whatever you think and call yourself a child of God, because children of God ain't the ones that's going to have their ass stowed in fire and brimstone. Those that who obey me, even Jesus said that, if you love me, keep my commandments. His commandments was to be in the world, not of it. Just because you in a world that's about Donald Trump, that ain't none of your business. If it's your business, it's called you worldly. Your business is the Lord's business. It's family business. Father, mother, brother, and sister business. You ain't attending that, you attending something else. You better recheck yourself. Seriously. If on nothing else, check yourself on the God part, people. That's the part you cannot afford to mess up with. Get it straight now. But back to point. If you go in a place that you see is not the place that you go in it for, you turn around and get out of there. And the place of God will not have an American flag in it. It cannot have it in there, people. That's representing something totally opposite. You get out of there. However, I'm going to move to the first thing that you will see in one that you know don't belong there. If you see it in there, get out of there. If you go into one, a place that's called a church, a temple, any of that, if you go into one, and especially of the Christian, because it was directed to the one they followed, that's where this came from. When Jesus went into the temple and overturned the table of the money changers, they wasn't supposed to come and set it back up. That table ain't supposed to be in there. And as a mockery to what he said and what he done, they put on the table in remembrance of me. And having that table in there when he done overturned it, it don't belong in that house, people. This ain't about money, period. Spirit don't care nothing about money, people. God don't care nothing about that. If you see that in there, it is a sign that you're in a den of thieves. Take it for what it is. If he done spoke against something, you cannot find justification in any way to go against whatever he says. It don't care, but it don't matter about the time. Well, that was then, this is now. It don't fucking matter. What he said then stood for now, in whatever time left that man is on this planet, man. It will stand. It don't change. It haven't changed since he said it. However, you probably pay attention to what you call law that's constantly changing. Constantly changing. You can't keep up with it. It changed so much. That's the reason, because it's not law. You need to understand the difference between two things, and that's law and rules. One ain't the other. One, we are all required. It was given to mankind as a whole. It didn't matter whether he was Russian, Arabic, whatever. Hebrew, no matter where or when. If he was of mankind, he was given a law to live by, and that law has not changed. This is the one year that you know of or heard about being the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments ain't changed since the Ten Commandments been written. And if you didn't know, he wrote that. Man didn't write that. He wrote that. And they have remained intact of what he wrote ever since he wrote them. It don't matter what you think, believe, who told you, or none of that. If you don't know, he changed it. Man cannot do that, people. I don't care who he or they is. What he put in the play, gonna be in the play whether or not you go with it or not. Don't change a thing. But it will affect you. You what has to change, because he don't have to. He's not going to. For what? For you? Are Almighty God gonna change for my dumb ass? Man, get out of here. I'm the one that gotta make the adjustments. That's how it become all good with me. I learn, I make the adjustments. People say learn from your mistakes, make the adjustments. Just because I didn't know yesterday, if I find out today, start making the adjustments. Can't keep going with the same thing, because whatever you're doing, it ain't helping. Shit is steady getting worse, man. Why complain if you don't want it any different than it is? Why are you complaining? You believe in the ways of the world, so why complain about the outcomes of it? Because, yeah, it is going to affect you. You about it? Then, yeah, you're supposed to suffer the consequences thereof. But you cannot force that upon anyone else, because you and whoever with you choose to do that don't give you anything to force that upon anybody else that chooses not. If a person can't force you to do the right thing, what the hell you think you can force them to do the wrong? Just because you do it and you feel that way, and that's your opinion and your belief in what you think. Like anybody else that feel that way about you, do you give a shit? Don't expect nobody else to give a shit about what you hold to. They say an opinion is like an asshole. Everybody got one. But consider this. Your opinion is less valuable than your asshole. At least your asshole know how to do what it's supposed to do. But if don't nobody want my asshole, that ain't for everybody. That's for me. Even so more is my opinion. If you keep one to yourself, you need to keep both of them to yourself. What we need is real. What we need is to hear truth. We don't need to hear no bullshit. We don't need to hear all that opinion, whether eloquent or not. That have not, is not, will not get me my heart's desire. It's only one way to get that. I got to use the instructions. Do it right, man. I'm going to get down. I'm getting down to it. Suffering a major loss. Bad, coming up even shorter, less. And you have, out of the stupidity, the audacity to say, that's just life. Life, no, it isn't, man. That's death, what you talking about. And I have to straighten you on this because you're talking about someone that is very close to me. I can't let you just speak ill about my brother or my friend, less known my Lord and Savior. Ain't nothing ever have been, is, or ever will be bad, evil, hard, screwed up. Never will any of that be a part of life, man. That's death, man. The shit that you're experiencing and living in is the spirit of death. It is not the spirit of life. Life is, but you have to do what is required to have life. Like you have to do what is required to have death. Only thing you need to do to have death is go against God. Go separate against God, and he will know what death is. He will know what it is, because he shall live it daily, within it daily. Now, on life, don't talk about life, then you got to talk about doing something the opposite. You can keep losing with what you're using, but if you want to win, you need to come here and listen up. You need to come here and listen up. I want to, because I know it's hard for you. Know it's hard for you. Because you're used to hearing something totally different. You're used to hearing worldly shit. Even the word is given worldly. It's given in sin. It ain't given in life. It's given in sin. And it has to be in its pure form for it to do its pure thing. It has to be in its purest form. can't contaminate it. Like accepting anything, again, unholy in it. You want to keep it holy. You need to see what you can do to keep this holy, because as long as it's holy, then you're going to know fat. I want to talk about fat for a minute. And then I guess by now you done realize, hey, he ain't talking about the same shit. I'm going to talk about profit. I'm going to talk about wealth. I'm going to talk about money. Got a lot to say, but I do want to start speaking about it now. When I, or after I had accepted a sound mind, health, all of that, after I accepted to serve my Lord, knowingly accepted to serve Him, there came a time on the interest thing. I'm concerned about what He's concerned about now. Be frankly honest, before Him, I really disliked it. However, after getting close to Him, I realized, of course, learned what was actually important to Him, what meant something to Him. You know what I mean? What can I do for you? No, you do for me. You have did for me. What can I do for you? And that's a big mistake with you. You're always asking Him for something rather than asking what you can do for Him. And I've even had people that tell me, you really can't do nothing for God. All you can do is, proclaim His word, but you can't do it. Yes, you can. The first thing you can do for Him is obey Him. That's the first thing you can do. However, out of my concern, what I could do for Him, of course, I would come to the realization, be brought into the realization, the only thing out of all creation, the universes in their magnificence, the earth and all its magnificence, and all the species and everything He did, the day, the night, the climate, just everything He did. Out of all of it, the one thing that clearly stuck out, that He cared anything about, was you. That's His whole thing. That's what's precious to Him. That's what means something to Him. You do, I do, they do, man do. So, in getting the grasp of that, I was interested. Man, I understand that He love them, but I know where they at. And why they're there. See, I know why you where you are. So, I ask you, my Lord, all I know, the only thing they ever knew was $1. The only thing that they listen to is $1. Like Cape and them, they even worse than Cape and them. They ain't finna, if it don't take care of that dollar, if it ain't about that dollar, they ain't even hearing it. And again, If that's all that they have been given to know, how is it just to hold it against them for not choosing the better? They ain't never known the better. Never had it. All they know is this. So it had begun. I'm questioning justice. It's justice, man. So, in return, I was to provide that for you. All right. I'm going to take care of the money then. Then see what they choose. Take care of the money issue. Well, here it is. Now, the wealth he gave me to pay you off is not in the mindset, the carnal mindset of where you are. But I'm going to give it to you. And as you understand it, you will know, man. You'll know. I guess for starters, there are 8 billion people. I estimated right around 8 billion people. I'm going to round it off and say 8 billion. There are 8 billion people in this generation. We're talking about covering the whole planet. 8 billion people. Don't use that number. Now you'll pray for stuff like, again, God, I need some help. I need some money. Lord, please see me through. My bills due. I got to do this, or blah, 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 blah. God, please help me. You need money. God don't deal in anything that he don't want to deal in. He gonna deal with it. For instance, if you asked him for rocks and he told you to use money, you screwed. He ain't accept nothing but cash. However, he didn't give you money, so he ain't accepting it. You can't give him cash because he ain't accepting that. That ain't currency to him. What is currency to him is the 8 billion people. He gave you, me, all of them. He gave us 8 billion people. That is the currency that he gave you. The value of those people, those 8 billion people, is determined through his house. Through his house, you're priceless. You're priceless. So therefore, where money is concerned, just like Capernaum, through his house, he'll provide the financial backing for you using those people. So in here, just say for instance, over there in that house, the White House, you have a very low financial value. But in the church house, you have an extremely high financial value. Because in the church house, your value is counted as the whole. It ain't no just, I got $8 billion. We have, my family have $8 billion. All the dollars, they got all my dollars, they got dollars, everybody, all us. We put that into our Father's account. And that account take care of us. You don't live out of that house over there. You live out of this house. This is the house you claim your Father's house. You ain't supposed to be getting anything out there. Everything of God comes through and out of his house. Everything. So I'm here to help you redirect. There's some things you got to do. Hold on. I'm going to hook you up. And you do these things, and you're going to see the difference in what God has, the difference in the two houses. You're not operating out of his house. You're operating out of another house. Stranger's house, enemy's house, whatever house, another house other than his house. His house is where you gain all that. Listen at me. Think I'm talking crazy to you? Listen at me. The Lord, when he spoke of a parable, he used something as value. Tell you what I'm talking about. And I want you to listen to the value he used. He says, what profit a man to gain the whole world? That's the value. And lose his soul. Now, consider this. What you have, even what the most you know of have, is merely picks. This one got $100 billion. $100 billion, people, compared to the value of the world. $100 billion is change. It's change. You don't have $100 billion. You don't even probably have, or might not have $100. What you have, what you're working with, is crumbs off the table of the wicked. And he says the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. It actually is saying that everything the wicked, all the wealth of the wicked, actually is laid up for his house. All of that is going to be taken from the wicked and give to the righteous. In the degree that over here, where you barely could struggling to get crumbs, over here is where the value is that he spoke of. What profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? What I'm telling you is, because he said it, because it is true, you, as a child of God now, and to be a child of God, you got to obey who? You got to learn how to obey who? As a child of God, then the whole thing becomes yours. You go as you please, you safety, whatever. You talking about the Garden of Eden, people. You want to hear somebody talk to you about a deadbeat God that can't even take care of itself? You got to go out and work for this world, this system. It's taken from you. And then you got to make sure you give God his cut of it. He said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's, man. Money belongs to Caesar. He don't deal in that like that. You won't be able to bring him money of no weight because his position is you. Let me help you here. Uncle Sam, it was the only thing he ever said publicly himself. Everything else he had somebody to say for him. But this thing he said for himself. Do you know what that is? The only thing Uncle Sam ever said public? The only thing he ever said public. Won't leave you to baffle with it. If you don't know, you don't know. But he said, I want you. Did no politician say that for him? He said that himself. I want you. I want to move on a little bit to where he gave a very important, specific piece of information to you. And he used John F. Kennedy to deliver it. He says, ask not what I can do for you. Ask what you can do for me. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That was Uncle Sam's position. Don't ask me what I can do for you. I want you. Now the thing about that is why he would say that, making sure he said that, is because when you have you, then I got all you have. If I got you, I didn't ask for your car, didn't ask for your wife, didn't ask for your children, didn't ask for your land, none of that. I want you because when I got you, I got everything you got. The Lord says, come unto me. Mind, body, heart, and soul. What else is you? That's all you is anyway. That's 100% right there. Bring all of you to me. You ask it in my name, and I'll give it to you. Ask it in my name, and I'll give it to you. He ain't telling me, don't ask me nothing. Don't ask me for nothing. You just concerned what you're giving me. But the Lord said, ask me and I shall give it to you. You receive not because you ask not.